Hi, this is WGLH-TV, and I'm Dan Sherman.
I'm Lisa Pauley.
And I'm Dave Fox with sports.
You know, Dan, the classes at the high school this time of year are really busy traveling for competitions and field trips. Some are going further than others, though. Mr. Weisenberger has taken some of his students to a journalism workshop for 3 days to New York City. Wouldn't that be great?
It sure would. You know, I couldn't go to New York even if I had the chance. I just don't have the money. But I did get to go to the Statehouse with the seniors and to a television workshop class in Reynoldsburg High School. So, yeah, you could say I've traveled a little bit.
Yes, we're going to hear all about those trips on this show, as well as the debaters who went to state competition at Princeton High School, the girls' winning basketball team, how the students in the mock trial are preparing for their competition, and best of all, we have a guest speaker on today's show.
Well, you know, if we have all that, we better get busy. Let's take a look at our first clip, which is the debate team going to and from competition.
8 members of our debate team departed from the high school February 27th to travel to Princeton High School in Cincinnati for the 59th Annual State Debate Tournament. Seniors Joe Clough and Katie Luce competed in foreign extemporaneous speaking, Senior Brian Sheldon competed in original oratory, and Junior Don Willis was entered in prose and poetry. The 4-man debate team of Kristen Hampton, Leah Redmond, Steve Fox, and Skip Evans also attended the tournament. Their team made it to the semifinals along with 3 other teams, but was defeated by Fairmont High School. Skip Evans and Steve Fox, pictured here, debated as the affirmative team. Kristen Hampton and Leah Redmond debated for the negative team. The 4 debaters display their state qualifier and state semifinalist plaques.
You know, Dan, all 4 of those are only first-year debaters. They're so lucky to go so far. I bet they learned a lot.
I'm sure they did, and so did we when we went to the television workshop at Reynoldsburg High School. Here's Eric Bruno with the story.
On February 27th, current members and next year's members of WGLH-TV attended a television workshop at Reynoldsburg High School. For 6 years, the Reynoldsburg students have produced News Center 87, a 30-minute weekly TV news and feature program. WGLH-TV was invited to attend the workshop, which included tips on interviewing, editing, and story writing. At the end of the day, shows by Upper Arlington, Groveport, Gahanna, and Reynoldsburg were critiqued. This has been Eric Bruno reporting. Now back to the studio.
That workshop was really great. I particularly enjoyed the luncheon at the Ramada Inn.
Yeah, I've got to say it was a little better than the lunch I had when the seniors went uptown to the Statehouse. But, you know, I have to say it was a real educational experience.
Yes, you did the TV coverage on that, didn't you, Dan? Why don't we take a look?
When seniors at Gahanna take state and local government, they have something to look forward to. Every senior goes to the Statehouse downtown, which you are looking at now. Mark Miller, who is a teacher at Gahanna, is also the tech director of WGLH, went along with the seniors and was able to get footage of the day's event. Right now you're seeing our representative in the Statehouse, Joanne Davidson. Mrs. Davidson spoke to the seniors in person about the working of the state government. She also talked about the drinking age, which is a concern of many seniors. Mrs. Davidson also stayed after and talked to anyone who had questions while the seniors went out to lunch. After the hour and 15 minutes for lunch, the seniors returned and went to the State Tower, where they learned about the Supreme Court of Ohio. They were talked to by either a judge or a marshal about the proceedings in the Supreme Court. I asked Mr. John Dean, who is the government teacher here at Gahanna, why the seniors go to the State House. He said that he feels it is important that instead of just hearing a lecture about how the state government runs, it is very good that the students get to see it in action. This has been Dan Sherman for WGLH-TV.
You know, Dan, the day we went, we were able to see the Ohio Supreme Court. I was reminded of how awesome it was when I saw this clip of our Lincoln High School mock trial. Wait until you see it.
A 6-member team of Gahanna High School students were in court presenting arguments in the case of a high school athlete who was required to submit to random mandatory drug testing under a school policy. The students presented their case in a courtroom at Franklin County Common Pleas Court as they began their first round of competition in the statewide 1987 Ohio mock trial program. The program, now in its 4th year, is jointly sponsored by the Ohio State Bar Association, Attorney General Anthony J. Celebrezzi, Jr., and the American Civil Liberties Unions of Ohio Foundation. As a special prize to observe the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Constitution, the team which emerges from this year's 84-team field as state champion will receive a free trip to Washington, D.C. to participate in a national mock trial tournament and week-long seminar on the American justice system. The Ohio State Bar Association has pledged $5,000 to cover expenses of the trip, and Attorney General Anthony J. Celebrezzi will cover additional costs. The program's purpose is to help high school students understand how the American legal system works through the participation in a simulated trial which they play roles of lawyers, witnesses, and other principals. The team is prepared to argue both sides of the case since they will play the part of both plaintiff and defendant in local rounds. Mike O'Callahan, team coach, said the students have prepared for the competition since December. Gahanna High School was judged the best of 4 teams competing in local rounds of competition. They will now compete in the state finals in April. Mock trial team members from Gahanna High School include Brian Shelton, Tom Burgett, Joe Clough, Tracy Starr, Leah Redmond, and Ann Wood. The team is advised by local attorneys Terry Hummel and David Wood. In addition to funding received from the Ohio State Bar Association and the Attorney General's Office, the 1987 Ohio Mock Trial Program has received financial support from the Ohio Department of Youth Services and the U.S. Department of Education. This has been David Fox reporting for WGLH-TV. Now back to the studio.
You know, that was really something. I hope they win. Just think, maybe they someday could be Supreme Court attorneys or even judges. That would be impressive.
You know what impresses me, Dan? I'm impressed by our guest speaker today. Why don't we introduce him right now?
That's a good idea. A few shows back, Lisa had the opportunity to introduce to you, our viewing audience, the man responsible for the back-to-school program here in the school district. You want to bring us up to date on that, Lisa?
Sure, Dan. The basic idea of the back to school is to invite members of the community to return to school for a day and do what their host teacher does during the average school day. Some visitors only choose to observe, but others are really active and want to do some actual teaching.
And that is what our special guest is doing here today. He has been the visiting community member in Mrs. Geiser's classes, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you the Mayor of Gahanna, Mr. Jim McGregor. Mr. McGregor, would you please share with us your experience of the back-to-school program?
Thanks, Dan and Lisa. Yes, I think it's really a super program. Together, we all work to kind of pull this community forward and enjoy each other's visits and enjoy each other's hobbies and activities. And the back-to-school day gives us all an opportunity, I think, to learn from each other and to learn to work together and to feel comfortable just getting together. You know, the schools and the city building are so close to each other. It's very easy for any of you all to drop in and say hello, and if you have a problem, if you have anything you'd like to talk about, the door's always open and we can have a cup of coffee or a pop and enjoy each other.
Well, thank you, Mayor McGregor. The speech classes that you are visiting today have been participating in the Right to Read Week. We would like you to watch this next clip. I'm sure you will recognize some of your students.
In the fast-paced lives each of us live in the 80s, often the enjoyment and knowledge that can be gained through reading is overlooked in favor of hi-fi audio-visual equipment. In an effort to let more people share in the enjoyment of reading, March 2nd through 6th was named Right to Read Week. In special recognition of the week, Mrs. Geiser's basic speech classes covered the Storybook Interpretation Unit. People reading stories to us is how most students were originally introduced to books. And returning to their childhood, some of Mrs. Geiser's students were attentive and excited. Others decided to do some reading on their own. And still others laid their heads down to reminisce about past reading experiences.
Dog running after them. He thinks you're a car, said Beanie. Go away, dog. We're not a car.
You know, all of these programs are pretty successful, and that's evident by the continuation of them year after year. There is another program here that may enjoy the same success. There's something Ohio residents should know about their trash.
This week is Clean Up Ohio Week, April 25th through May 2nd. Any schools interested in doing a cleanup campaign may obtain supplies such as trash bags, gloves, car litter bags, certificates, and other literature materials to assist their campaigns. Call Franklin County Litter Prevention for any assistance that you may need. You know, Dan, I think this is something that we should all get involved in. This next clip is about a very special program to some very special people. Here's Kristen with the story.
The National Honor Society, the NHS, held a practice led by Mrs. Lucy Coney, who is the supervisor for all their activities. She has held this position at Gahanna Lincoln for many years. NHS spells a lot of hard work for either the members or the supervisor involved. But as you can see, there's always time to sit back and laugh. When the big day came and the practice was over, all kidding was put aside. The gym was full of anxious faces waiting to see if they would be called down. Only a small number of students can be chosen from the junior and senior classes. this assembly is unique because its mood is quite different than the majority of others. It's not rowdy, but very serious. Scott Kotzen, the president of NHS, is serious too. Like every other member, he knows it's no joking matter.
Have not only achieved high scholarship, but they have also set high standards for themselves and their school in character, leadership, and service. The membership to this organization is so limited that only the outstanding members of the junior and senior classes may be admitted. These students who have attained these high standards and have been chosen by faculty vote to become members of this honor society are therefore to be congratulated upon the excellence of their record while in high school.
Friday the 13th, the excitement built in the gym as the first name of the new members was called. Sarah Lukes here escorts Tracy Starr to receive her scroll and a badge, which all of the new members proudly wore the rest of the day. Here we see senior Bill Birchfield called down. The students had been instructed to hold their applause until the end, but one would hear little yells of congratulations as their friends were called down. Now we see all the new members with their robes being looked upon and envied by their peers. Mrs. Weller and Mr. Ford both gave speeches to congratulate the new members for being inducted and the old members for their hard work that has paid off. When it was all said and done, Mrs. Coney talked to the new members, joined by Mr. Ford. Congratulations to all, and have a nice year.
National Honor Society has been around for a long time, and something else that has been around for a long time is the building known as B Building. This building is going to be undergoing some major renovation. Here's Ann with the story.
This is Ann Goulden for WGLH-TV, and last week on our show we told you a little bit about the history of B Building. This week we have a chance to talk to Mrs. Weimer, a student who was in the original graduating class of Gahanna Lincoln in 1929. What are some of the memories that stand out most in your mind about this school?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the change in the high school, and to come into this lovely building from a high school in the middle of Gahanna, which had the high school upstairs and the grade school downstairs. The building is still standing, and I heard that it is now an office building. And it was fun because we got to pick out the name for the high school. We voted on it. People would suggest colors and that sort of thing. And I was happy because I suggested blue and gold. And it turned out to be the one the students had picked for a color. And of course everything had to be new because our name had changed. And like class rings and all that sort of thing, and the cheers. A friend who was a cheerleader who is now a member of the Hall of Fame. And it was just so different that we really enjoyed it.
You were in several sports, right? Tennis, track, and basketball?
Well, I only was in basketball. I'm not much of an athlete, but I did play basketball because I was tall, and I think that helped.
How are the rules different then?
Well, we had court was divided in 3 sections. We had the forwards at one end, the guards at the other end, and then in the center were 2 centers. One was called a jumping center, and the other was a roving or running center, whose business it was to keep the other side from getting the ball and keeping our girls, our forwards, with the ball. And then in those days we jumped after every basket, so the scores didn't get very high. Time would run out.
You also had some daughters who graduated from Gahanna Lincoln.
Yes, I did. I had Judy, who is now Judy Harris, and she graduated in 1952. I have Jerry, who is living in Columbus, and she graduated in 1956.
This is your first time to be back at the high school for a while, isn't it?
Yes, it is, in this building.
How does it feel?
It looks very familiar right here. It hasn't changed a bit. But when I go over into the auditorium, that was our gymnasium. And I understand that our gymnasium is still down there, stage and all, under the seats.
Yeah.
And but it looks about the same to me.
Okay, thanks a lot. Ann Goulden, WGLH-TV.
You know, that building is old.
That's exactly how I felt when I saw this next clip about a young lady from Middle School West. Here's Robin to tell us about her.
So this is Robin White for WGLH-TV. I'm here with 8th grade Shelley Mullet. She is a wrestler at Gahanna West. Shelley, how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for 2 years.
How do you like this sport?
It's fun. It's new.
What is your record?
My record is 3-7. I've had a decision, a forfeit, and a pin.
I asked Shelley if she felt her male opponent wrestles to win or if their strength is inhibited by the fact that she is a girl.
Well, I think they'd probably want to go a little harder on me because they don't want to go through the humiliation of losing against a girl and just having all the teasing.
What got you interested in this sport?
Well, really, actually, a few of us, other girls, we thought it'd be neat and fun to do, so we got together and came out to the team and joined the guys.
What happened to the other girls?
The other girls, they just dropped off, and I stayed and did everything the guys did.
What are some of the unusual circumstances that you've gone through during your season?
Well, I've had to get my hair cut when I wrestled, and other than that, that's the only thing that really bothered me. So.
A traumatic moment for Shelley was having her hair sheared for a wrestling match.
Well, we went to a match in Worthington Perry, and the coach said that I had to get my hair cut, so me and my coach, we went back to the locker room, and he cut about 5 inches off my hair, and after that, you know, I went out and I wrestled, and I beat my opponent, and it was fun.
Great. How are you treated by the other members of the team?
Well, they all give me their support, and they all treat me fair, and they don't mind me being on the team.
Do you plan to wrestle in high school?
Yes, I do. I think it's a fun sport to do, and it's an opportunity for me to go out and show these guys that a girl can do what a guy can do.
Well, good luck. We're here with Coach Pavel, Shelley's wrestling coach. Is she your first female wrestler that you've coached?
Yes, she's the first one that's ever stayed on the team. And I've been coaching about 8 years, and it's been my first experience in that I had 3 girls come out last year when Shelley was a 7th grader, and in the rigorous conditioning that's required to become a wrestler, the other 2 couldn't manage to stick it out. But Shelley has a dedication and a desire that really allowed her to be able to stick it out and eventually earn a starting spot on the team.
I asked Mr. Pavel if he takes it easier on Shelley during practices or tends to be more demanding knowing she is a young, sensitive girl.
Well, at first, I did probably treat her a little bit more with kid gloves in that I didn't know what to expect from a female, you know, being able to wrestle. And after I allowed her to gain some conditioning so that she could withstand some of the punishment that she was going to be put through, I found that it was a lot different coaching a girl than it is a guy. She puts up with a lot of pain and a lot of pressure, but she's a defensive wrestler. And being a defensive wrestler, that means that she has to look for loopholes and ways out of situations that she's in. It's tough for her to overpower an opponent. And she's done a pretty good job for me this year.
Do you feel maybe that she has opened some doors for women's wrestling?
Well, I know that she's shown some light on wrestling in that there's been a lot more publicity, and they have written it up in the local newspapers and local television stations. And I know for a fact, as a result of us going up to Mount Vernon and having a female on the team, this year the coach came back and told me that as a result of that, he had 3 girls on the team, but he only had 1 that has stuck it out so far.
Well, thank you very much.
You know, I sure wouldn't want to tangle with her.
No, but think how safe you'd feel on a date.
Well, she would be safe, that's for sure.
You know, when you mention women in sports, you can't neglect to show our viewers just exactly what our Lincoln Lady Lions are doing. How about it, Dave?
Well, Lisa, the girls' team went to Briggs High School in the district finals to go against Beechcroft High. In the tough-fought game, the Lions narrowly beat Beechcroft 53-51. Because the Lions beat Beechcroft, they qualify for the regional semifinals of the Ohio High School basketball tournament. Now, at the tournament, the Lady Lions went against Mansfield Senior High. I went to both the Beechcroft game and the Mansfield game. First, you'll see the Beechcroft game, then the Mansfield's game. So here it is.
In district competition, the girls basketball team went against Beechcroft High School at Briggs High School. To the action in the first quarter, both Gahanna and Beechcroft came out strong, battling each other for control of the ball, but turnovers and mistakes marred most of the first quarter. However, the Lions kept the lead for all of the quarter. In the second quarter, Beechcroft and Gahanna came to play hardball, with Beechcroft getting the lead early in the quarter. In the third quarter, Beechcroft again took the lead, but with mistakes and again plaguing both teams, the Lions were able to take control of the ball. And the fourth quarter came down to the wire as the Lions barely regained the lead while Beechcroft fouled Sarah Merklin, and who was able to top off with 2 foul shots to the 53-51 victory for Lincoln. Dina Matthews had 12 points to lead the Lions in scoring, and Sarah Merklin came in second with 10 points. Steph Griffin had 12 rebounds, with Kathy Snyder coming up in second with 8 rebounds. Now we're at Mount Vernon High School, where the Lady Lions went against Mansfield Senior High School. At that competition, the girls went head-to-head with Mansfield Senior in the first quarter, with both Gahanna and Beechcroft coming out strong to battle each other for control of the ball. Mistakes and turnovers, plus fouls, marred most of the first quarter. However, the Lions kept a sim lead for most of the first quarter, with Mansfield coming out strong towards the end. 12-6 at the second quarter, with Mansfield Senior leading. In the second quarter, the Lions came back, but barely, with Mansfield Senior again getting the lead at the second quarter. In the third quarter, the Lions came back strong to keep a slim lead for all of the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, the Lions kept coming on strong, but just weren't able to do it, as the Lions lost to Mansfield Senior 60-50. Sarah Merklin led the Lions scoring with 14 points. Steph Griffin came in second with 11 points, and Mindy Wolf with 8 points came third. Griffin and Badgett both had 7 rebounds apiece. This ended the tournament play for the Lions. We want to thank the Lions for bringing us great victories in the past and for going as far as any team did to state competition since 1976. Now let's go to Dan Demchek at the IBA battle between the IBA champs, 87 champs, and the Lincoln High School faculty. Dan?
Hello, this is Dan Demchek, and behind me in 15 to 20 minutes, a very special occurrence will happen at Gahanna Lincoln High School. The self-proclaimed 87 champs who defeated the Fat Boys in the final championship game will take on the LHS faculty members. Now let's take a look. Yeah!
And on the wrestling mat, the Wrestling Lions went to Toledo Roger Tournament, which is a regional tournament for wrestling, and placed 4th in that. While there, Matt Everett, Mark Hardy, Tracy Dawson, Paul Miller qualified for state. I'll have more on those guys in later shows. And in girls indoor track, at the Central District Indoor Girls Track, the girls placed 3rd in that tournament. And I'll have more on the boys indoor track and the girls indoor track, and on girls swimming later shows. Baseball and softball and boys tennis will also be updated in later shows too. Dan?
You know, Dan, with all the traveling we've been doing here at the school, it reminds me of one of my favorite songs, Round, Round, Get Around, I Get Around.
Wait, Lisa, you can't sing, remember?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, guys. I make the motion to close this show. This has been Lisa Pauley, Dan Sherman, and Dave Fox saying so long for WGLH. We get around.